What up, people? Monday today. I'm gonna go to work up here after a bit, and you guys see people who seen my previous video. You guys will know what I'm talking about. I made the line going in, pressurizing, feeds the water separator, goes to transfer pump, secondary filter, feeds the head, returns it. So this is our return line. Reason I'm pointing on this, you guys will understand in a second. I wonder if I can splice this in and put a T up here. For reason being, why I want to put a T up there, because right after when I built that, which was Saturday, there's a friend of mine in town over here. I call him Diesel Freak. They got a pulling truck and they build pretty insane stuff, pretty interesting, but they mainly mess with the diesel pickup engines. And the guys, there's a couple brothers, 3 brothers, and they are actually smart dudes, and I look up to them. So I explained to him what I did, and he's like, you should have told me something, because I got something, and instead of doing all that, you could have did this. What we got here is a Fass filtration system, fuel air separating system. This is older model, Fass 150 series. What that means is a 150 gallon pump. This is electric pump. The rotary pump inside's here. It's a really big pump. There's 2 filters. Obviously they're old, but it needs to be replaced. I don't know where he got this thing, but he says they ain't gonna use it. They're using a little bit different system on their a pickup truck. So he's like, you can have this thing. I says, well, shit, let me see if it works. And he said, I'd sell it to you. So I did test it. Well, basically it has this plug-in, but obviously I don't have the rest of the harness. So I basically cut it off, and I'm just gonna splice the wires with the butt connector and extend it. So they put a jumper pack to it, and it works. Pulled the filters out, cleaned it with the brake cleaner. Still needs to be cleaned out some more. It seems like it works. It's buzzing. I don't know if it's pumping, but it's buzzing. And then I was looking at this thing, and it's right here. It's actually, it was saying what year it was manufactured. Maybe since when I brake cleaned it. I think it was saying right here with black, but it got washed off apparently. What year? Oh, right here on the pump. The pump was made in 2009. So this thing is 11 years old. But here's the trick on it. This pump came off a pulling truck. What does a pulling trucks do? They go on a track 300 miles down the road, and that's it. And I don't think it has that many miles on it. 300 miles, 300 feet. What the hell I'm talking about? 300 feet down the track, and they shut him off, and that's it. So one thing I found out, this thing lasts a long time. So it should work. And if the guy wants, they have a pores up here. You can run a coolant through it, heat the base on him. But don't need that. I don't live in that cold of an environment. So these fittings are number 8, and I gotta have them number 10. Some people don't know how they work. I will explain real quick. When your vehicle travels down the road, you're getting splash inside of the tank. The fuel will move back and forth and kind of grabs the air. And if the tanks would be clear, you would see a fuel with a bunch of, trillions and trillions of little bubbles. So the fuel will go in over here, and it will be contaminated with air, and then it goes through the water separator, which is this filter right here. Obviously this filter is old, it's been banged up, and so works on the vacuum too. Goes in, and it goes through this filter, and this filter already fixes basically separates the air, fuel, and the debris, and then you got your clean fuel coming out right here, I believe so. Coming out right here, that's the one goes to the engine, and this one's return. I'm sorry, this one goes in return, and this one goes into your engine. Here's the trick on it. I need to call Fass. This is my return on the, let me do it differently. I will grab this thing. So the pump again. This is returned from a Fass system because they run a separate. This is returned, this is supplies to the engine. So I'm wondering if I can cut this and put a T up here and return this fuel back in my tank. Basically what this thing does, even the truck idles, you obviously don't need that high of a demand on the fuel, but this thing still pressurizes about 22 or 25 psi, and it's constantly running the fuel from your tanks and returns it back. Basically what it does, it's polishing fuel and, you know, cleans your fuel out. But I got a pressure coming out right here too, and it's pretty high pressure, so I don't know if I have to, can I tee this out, or I have to run a completely different lines back to the tank, split them out up there underneath them, and then do it this way. But like I said, I just built that pump, basically made like a homemade Fass system, and I didn't even drive the truck yet. So if somebody had experience with a Fass system and a C15 Cat, can you comment below and tell me where's the how you did your return from a Fass, not from an engine, from a Fass. So these things, the people who didn't use it, trust me, they do work. Not everybody wants to spend $700 on one of these systems, but they do actually work. You can tell how much more smoother the truck idles and your fuel mileage goes up. And they just, in general, it's good to have a good fuel pressure to feed your engine transfer pump, and it saves your injectors. I mean, they last a lot longer, because anytime you have, everybody knows how the injector works. Anytime you have air in the fuel system, it's hard on your injector. Like right here, this is 60 series Detroit injector. There's your nozzle, that's what it goes in. Basically, it preloads itself with the fuel, and there's a plunger, it hits it down. Well, they design, when they hit it, they work like a hydraulic. There's a, you know, they hit it against the fuel and squeeze the fuel out. But if you have air in there, end up hitting metal to metal, and it's not good. And that's what this thing does, is actually gets solid stream of fuel with no air. I mean, I think it's 99.99% of fuel, and it's only very little amount of air goes through your injectors, and that's what this thing does. And it saves your injectors tremendously a lot longer time. So we'll see if that, I will hook up the hoses to it. I have some hoses right here, but they're number 10 fittings. I got to convert them to 8 or make those fittings change on the Fass system and pump some diesel fuel through it, see if it works. But if anybody had experience putting a Fass system on it, let me know if I can return fuel back into the factory, return to the tanks, or actually I have to run a whole different lines to return the fuel. So that's the plan for the next week. We're gonna redo what I did already once and put this thing on. I wish I told him, asked him if he had one, but I didn't thought that he would. And come to find out, it actually the one I gotta have, which is 150 gallons. Because if you put I believe they're making a 75, but that's more for like a pickups, and 100, it's kind of between a pickup and a semi, but 150, it's definitely, this is the one of the bigger one. I think they're making a Fass 175, which is 175 gallons per minute of fuel. That is outrageously a lot. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching my channel, and hopefully somebody will learn something. And once again, comment below if you had experience with the Fass system and a C15. See what you think, if I can cut it and return it to the factory, or I have to do the whole deal. Thanks.